Hi gang, Rob here, coming to you today with another product overview for CollectorKnives.net, and it's another Lionsteel. And according to the Lionsteel box, this is the SR-1-G. This knife is not going to be new to many of you. You might be visiting CollectorKnives.net because you've been on the hunt for one of these and you happen to notice that Collector Knives has just about the best price on the internet for this knife. But let's take it out of its gorgeously milled wooden box and take a close look. For many of us in the US market, the SR-1 is sort of the knife that first turned us on to Lionsteel. I believe the Big Opera was first in the US market, but this is the knife that really caught our attention, or possibly its Spyderco twin sister, the Lion Spy. But this is the Lionsteel branded knife of the same configuration. Let's talk about it. First of all, let's see what's in the box. The pocket clip is nestled into a groove milled into the box, and it's held on with this glass breaker bolt or screw in its place. From the factory, you're going to see a filler tab, and that sort of brings us to this tool, which is held into the box not only by a very tight fit but also by a small magnet. Pretty cool. This is a wrench. This end of it is what will remove your pocket clip screw, and this end of it is a spanner that will work your pivot. The pivot is also accessible by a T8 Torx driver. So let's get that out of the way and get to the knife. So here we are. We have a 4 5/8 inch long by 9/16 wide handle, fashioned of 6Al4V titanium, beautifully 3D machined with an awesome palm swell, great milled pattern. And if you notice, this knife is not built on a backspacer or standoffs. It is integral. That means this handle is machined from one solid piece of titanium. I don't know that you can get much better structural integrity than this design in a titanium frame lock knife. The blade is 3 5/8 inches long, over an inch broad, flat ground from almost its full height, with a wonderfully ground taper to the tip, which gives us very consistent thickness geometry at the edge all the way from hilt to tip. A beautiful crown spine on this 4.5mm thick stock. The blade fashioned of Sleipner steel, just a superbly performing folding knife steel. Much the same sharpening and performance characteristics we see in D2, but in a much more rust-free composition. It is a frame lock with a steel insert, removable and replaceable. Over travel is controlled by use of this device, Lionsteel's Roto Block, which in its disengaged position does provide a stop to keep you from over traveling the blade, or the lock bar, when disengaging it from the blade. And then if we engage it by turning it clockwise, it's going to keep us from disengaging the lock bar at all. Pretty ingenious. It kind of stays where you put it too. Very trouble free. If you don't see any need to use it, just leave it where it is and use it as an over travel stop. The only other hardware besides the pocket clip, the roto block, and the lock bar insert are the pivot, which is a double-sided pivot with sort of a custom look, although you can access it with normal tools, and a stop pin, which is shouldered into both sides of the titanium frame and then retained with one T6 torque screw. Deployment is via dual thumb studs, and it can be very easily swept open or flicked open with pretty doggone good action. The blade is suspended on two Teflon washers, which gives it this very silky, luxurious feel. It's kind of a Jekyll and Hyde personality knife, I think. It is super elegant, super smooth, just so easy to manipulate and use, but it's not small. This blade has some serious cleaving and slicing capability. Comes in this beautiful satin grind. Also, there are DLC coated versions available. Also comes in a less expensive and lighter weight aluminum version with D2 steel. Does make some cool noises too, doesn't it? In addition to the Sleipner steel that you see in this one, Chad Nichols Damascus is also offered. The question then becomes, what is this knife? Is it a tactical knife, or is it an art knife, a collectible piece? Having owned several of these in various configurations, I guess my answer for you is both. It's one of those knives that you can sort of develop a collection of if you're not careful. Let me wipe my fingerprints off this beautiful blade. Especially once you get into the aluminum versions, the price point makes for good collectability, especially in the variety of colors in which it's offered. This knife was largely responsible for Lionsteel winning the 2014 Manufacturer's Quality Award at Blade Show. And for good reason, I must say. Isn't it beautiful? And so well made. That's all for this one, my friends. Grace to you and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. And remember, the word is sharp.